Peggle.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ferret64 podcast with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. Today we got a nice slate of things to talk about. I don't think there's going to be too many new things per se, but we do have some things to talk about, of course. And also, make sure you check out the latest Redux top 10 list Redux, which is out now on both YouTube and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. If you want to check that out, I appreciate that. Maybe slap it a like if you don't mind me asking. Of course, only like it if you think that it's a good list, okay? As I said during the video, I was just kind of embarrassed by the old 2018 list, so this one more so reflects my current thoughts on the 2018 game lineup. Lots of good games, still a hard list to make. And as I said before, I'll probably be going through other years as well. We'll see how far we go. Maybe I'll go all the way to the year I was born. I don't know. But hey, sit back, relax, and let's go to the first part of the episode, which is... what have I been playing this past week? A game called Captain Blood came out this past week, and ooh, boy, is it bad. Got a little FUBAR energy there on that one. It's bad. Like, it's just bad. It's just, I hate to be so negative right off the bat, but this is a game that was supposed to release in the PS2 era, and it definitely feels like it. I don't know if this game was just shelved for the longest time, and then they took it out of the out of hibernation and just kind of tweaked it a bit and then released it. It's hard to say because there's a lot of sloppiness to this game. The combat just has no weight to it at all. The audio mixing is atrocious. The level design is bad. I mean, I like, where do I start with this? I haven't gotten through the entire game yet. I'm probably about halfway through, and at this point, I really don't know if I'm going to finish it because it's just been such a slog. Like, it took me 2 hours to get to where I'm at in the game, and I just felt like setting it down and not playing it ever again because it is really just that bad. And to the people who worked on the game, I mean, I'm not trying to bad talk you per se, but when the audio mixing is just so bad, there's definitely been some sort of disconnect with maybe departments who were working on the game, because you'll have voice line audio that's like down here, like, oh, watch out, Captain, there's a pirate ship there. And then you'll have an explosion that's just like, boom, like in the background, or the waves crashing will just be like, and you can't hear what the fucking guy is saying in the game. I had to turn subtitles on because there's just no way to hear what they are saying sometimes, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And you might say, oh, Yummy, just go into the audio settings and boost the voice audio. It's already as high as it can go. It's already, like, I can't do anything else with this shit. I guess I could turn down sound effects, but it's like, why out of the box, from a fresh download, should I have to tweak these settings? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. They definitely screwed the audio on this one. The combat in the game is just very lackluster. It's got a basic combo system to it, which can be kind of fun at times. But the combat in general just doesn't have enough weight to it. When you hit an enemy, it doesn't really seem to affect them at all. And then most enemies can just be taken out in one button press with an execution, which is really weird in my opinion. Like they start you off and they're like, "Oh, make sure you block and parry and well, not parry, but block and counterattack and blah blah blah." And then about halfway through the tutorial level, they're like, "Oh yeah, if you press O, you can execute enemies in one hit." So through the rest of the level, I was just pressing O anytime I saw an enemy. He would do the kill animation, and we would move on. And I got very, very bored. There are stronger enemies who show up later in the game. Well, not, but that level later in that level, that do take a little bit of comboing to get them to that point. But it's never been like a difficult thing to pull off, and just having those random like fodder enemies everywhere that are just like press O. Oh, I'm sorry to yawn just thinking about this goddamn game. Press O, and then you immediately, kill them. It's just like, why? Why are we like? Why'd you even release this game? That's what I'm wondering. Like, I get it. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, a forgotten game is being released. The game that was lost to time for 20 something years. Oh my gosh, and then it comes out and it's just like mediocre reception to bad reception. I mean, I don't know how many people are playing this besides from myself and a handful of others who I saw online complaining about it. I just don't know what to say. Like, I was hoping for a blast from the past type game that it looked, felt, and just kind of was just like it was an all around PS2 era game. And the graphics wise, like, yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a PS2 game, but everything else just doesn't look. Oh, I mean, it just isn't good. That's what I should say. It just isn't good. Like the rest, like everything else in between is just really, really bad. In between the PS2 inspired graphics and like a couple of moments here and there that I've found myself enjoying. There's this entire section where you are on a pirate ship and you're shooting other ships in the distance with cannons, and the cannons take like a whole minute and a half to like reload. And it was the most boring level that I've ever fucking played in my life. It went on forever, one, and two, it just was not fun. Like shooting the cannons just didn't feel great, and they took forever to reload, so you had to switch to another cannon, and then when you tried to fire off this cannon, the enemy would retaliate, and they would hit you while you're on the cannon. The same thing was happening to me in the tutorial level where they gave you like a Gatling gun cannonball launcher, and they were like, shoot down those ships, and there was a ship in the background that was just peppering the area with cannon fire. So every time I would get on the cannon, I could fire like maybe a shot or two, and then I would get knocked off by the cannonballs. And at that point, like right away, that just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, you're giving me this cool thing to use and shoot down the incoming like rowboats with pirates and smaller ships, but then you have like a man of war in the background that is completely wrecking me every time I even try to attempt to get on this cool gun that you want me to use. Like you're immediately just souring that experience fairly quickly. And with this game, it soured almost completely from the beginning with the audio issues, like going through that first cutscene, which was way too long as well. Like the starting cutscene felt like it went on for like 30 minutes. Like, hey, this ain't a Hideo Kojima game, okay? Just make the cutscene fucking 5 minutes or less, and let us get to the action. But no, we go through all this backstory and all this. It's like, oh my gosh, like you're putting me to sleep here. So yeah, Captain Blood, do not recommend at all. I don't even know if I will get through it at this point. It seemed like a cool concept. It seemed like a cool idea. A PS2 game being revived for the modern times. but it just did not work out. Definitely did not work out. It needed to be tweaked a lot more. It needed to be worked on more. Like, that's funny to say because apparently it was in development for 20 fucking years, and it needed more time in the goddamn oven. Okay, that seems like a pretty bizarre thing to say for a game that was in development hell for 20 years, but it needed more time. It needed more time. That's the craziest thing I've fucking said on this podcast in quite some time. So yeah, don't recommend that game. I would definitely say skip it or wait for a hefty sale on this one. We are ranking it not good. Another game that I've been playing this past week is called Drop Duchy. And this is a Tetris-inspired roguelite game, but it's also a strategy game as well. So you have Tetris blocks that are plains or field tiles. I'm sorry, plains or forest tiles. My bad. And of course, there's other ones as you go farther into the roguelite that I haven't gotten to yet, like stone and stuff like that. So what you want to do is you want to complete layers of, just like in Tetris. You want to make sure that your stacks are well placed, so that you don't build up too fast and then fail. Well, in this game, you want to make sure that you complete stacks so that you can get the resources from those stacks. And then also there are different tiles that come out that are for units. And with these units, you attack enemy units that you also place yourself onto the field. So it's a bit weird. You're kind of like setting up the enemy while you're also setting up yourself. But you can, of course, put them in like a bad spot that doesn't affect their troops. So a lot of troops will be affected by the area around them. So like archers, if you put them in plains or in wheat fields, they will get X amount of reinforcements to their base like stats. And then if you layer more stuff on top, they'll also get the stats from those things as well. With like swordsmen, you place them near forested areas and they'll get a boost from that. Or there's axe wielders who also can be put near like forests and they chop them down and that gives them extra stuff too. So it's all about resource management, unit management, and then also placing those Tetris blocks in the right position. Now, obviously, it's not exactly one-for-one Tetris blocks. There are some ones that you would never see in a Tetris game, like single blocks or double blocks and stuff like that. But it all works out pretty well. So if you're looking for a roguelite game that's a bit off the rails, this one is definitely maybe one that you want to consider. With Drop Duchy, it just doesn't really feel like anything else that I've played before. And I don't know if I'm like truly crazy about the experience. Even playing on some of the lower difficulty just doesn't really feel balanced to me at all. I feel like I keep getting just the worst Tetris pieces at the wrong time, and then like the enemy units have like way too many soldiers for me to take out with what I have. So there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the experience kind of, but the main thing has just kind of been not fun because I just really can't make any progress in the game, and maybe it is a skill issue, maybe, but it is one of those games that was like, it was like $5, and I was like, okay, I'll check this out. It looks kind of fun, looks kind of interesting. You never know. Sometimes you pick up a cheapo game and it gets on the top 10 list. But with Drop Duchy, like I get what they're going for, and I like the idea, but I'm not completely sold on this one. It's got like a rock paper scissors type battle system to it as well. So like archers can take out swordsmen can take out axe wielders, and axe wielders can take out archers. I might have mixed those up a bit, but it doesn't really matter in the end. And that also, comes into play because when you go to battle, you start at one of your unit slots, and then you can either combine units or attack an enemy unit. So what you want to do is combine like units together and then attack the enemy, and then you want to combine units with the other groups to attack other ones. But it just doesn't really play as well as I was hoping, or as smoothly as I was hoping. which is unfortunate because I think that's a good idea. As I said, they just didn't land with this one. So drop Duchy. It's kind of like a mid, kind of like a meh, like a mid kind of thing. Wouldn't recommend getting it for full price. Maybe wait for a sale on that one as well. I've of course been playing a lot of Expedition 33. Um, I don't want to go into spoilers, but I did get to a point where I could attack the Paintress, and I went to do that, and things happened, but I won't talk about that. I'm kind of like cruising through this game at this point. I mean, obviously there's still challenge to be had in it for sure. Like there's some enemies out there that'll crush you in one hit. So you obviously need to be mindful of the higher ranked places. But for the most part, when I'm going against a group of enemies and maybe I'm not as familiar with some of them, the telltale signs of what they're going to do are pretty clear to me at this point. Now, obviously, I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone is truly perfect just from the get go here. But I think that I've gotten a lot more confident with the combat since I talked about it last, and I think that the overall combat experience has been a bit simmered down for me because I was having I was having a few frustrations with it when it first started. I mean, I still was really enjoying the game, which is why I continued with it. But I think now that I'm well into the game, the combat has truly and fully clicked with me in a way that I was hoping that it would the whole time. And it did take me a little bit longer to get into the combat in this one, but I think the combat is very good. And last week when I was talking about it too, I was enjoying the combat too. It's just I was still kind of having some trouble timing my parries and stuff like that because it is a bit tough to judge when an enemy is actually going to attack. And so many of the enemies have these delayed responses. Like there's this enemy type that I was fighting more recently where it has like two swords and it like charges the swords before it attacks, and then it does like a long swinging animation. And I was like, wow, like we are like really like testing my patience with this right now. So I mean, dodging is easier, sure. Like you have more time, you have more space for your timing, and you do seem to be able, you when you do press the dodge button, you're dodged for a little bit longer than when you would do like a parry. But at this point, I feel like it's parry or nothing. Because of the buildup of break that they have, which is the exhaust meter. Once you hit them with a breaking move, they'll get stunned. Enemies will get stunned. And also, just like there's some moments where it's like I'm fighting this enemy for what seems like forever because I haven't been able to parry them effectively and get off like a counterattack. And there's some enemies that are very healthy. There's these mimes that are everywhere who require a lot of damage in order to just simply get them going. And the parrying system comes in very handy because you can get extra damage off on them when it's not even your turn. And I do stick by my comparison for Paper Mario for this game, a bit more in depth version of Paper Mario, because it does play a lot like that. But then it also has like the Final Fantasy X and or slash Lord of the Rings: A Third Age system of having your three party members and being able to see when they're going to attack and I think that in general, the combat has just started working for me. Probably around the halfway point through my playtime with it, and now I feel confident with it. So if you're struggling with it early on, obviously the just it's repetition that's going to really teach you how the game works, and you do start to notice like, okay, like this enemy is doing his build-up attack, and there's like a bit of a slowdown before he actually does his attack, and then you press the button after that slowdown. Or if they're doing like a magic attack or energy wave attack, you can kind of see on the screen like exactly when you want to hit it, because a lot of times there'll be like a bit of a pattern to it where it goes boom, 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 and on the third one you're going to want to press obviously you're going to want to press the parry button. For dodging, it's pretty much it's pretty much literally the same as parrying, and I'm not sure why so many publications are telling you to dodge instead of parry, simply because it's a very similar system. It just gives you a fraction more of leeway to it. If you press the dodge button too early, you will still get hit. Now, obviously, it's a bit less detrimental to press the dodge button early because you can press it again relatively quickly after doing a failed dodge. With a parry, it's kind of like, okay, once you do an early parry, it's just kind of, you don't really, you're gonna get hit no matter what. But if you do an early dodge, you do have a chance of like dodging again really quickly. If you're, but of course, if you're just spamming the button, obviously that's not gonna help. So yeah, I mean, I would honestly recommend people just try for parries for most things because that's gonna be the bread and butter of your experience. If you get, I mean, dodging does not really get you anything unless you put on special like skills for your characters. Like parrying gives you extra action points. It gives you that counterattack with extra damage. It gives you the ability to break your target and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that I mean, even though they're trying to help the players with these articles telling you to dodge instead of parry, I don't think it actually really, truly, in the long run, will help you to just dodge attacks. You really want to get into the groove of parry, parry, parry. Which leads me to my other point that I wanted to bring up, which is that the open world design is very interesting for this game. It doesn't seem too big, but it does take a while to really move around these areas. And you do get a companion who you can ride on, and he can swim and he can run around faster in the open world. But the open world map kind of reminds me of that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands game that came out a couple years ago, where when you're going from place to place, like the map is kind of really zoomed out and your character's like double the size. And you kind of are walking or running across those landscapes, and you can run into some enemies. You can run into another like dungeon or something to go into. I think right now the one thing that's kind of bugging me about the open world is the fact that anytime that I would go off the beaten trail early on, at least, I would run into like the most powerful enemy ever and not be able to beat him because I just do chip damage. And still, even though I'm like level like 50 something on a lot of my characters, I still get like completely wrecked by some of these like high level enemies. It's kind of bizarre at how many of them you can kind of just run into just simply because you're like, well, I'm curious, I'm going to go into this cave, and I know it says danger, but like, is it really a danger to me? Ha ha ha, I'm level 50. Yeah, it's still a danger. It's one of those games where the enemies do not scale to you; you scale to them. Which, I mean, not really, but essentially they are what they are. Whether they're level 99 or level 1, those enemies are those enemies. And if you go back through areas that maybe you're over leveled for, or you went through before, you're just kind of wrapping things up, you will find it much easier to get through them because they don't scale the enemies to you. So, you go back to the first area, you're fighting level 1 enemies again. You go back to the middle area, and you're fighting level 20 enemies again. So it doesn't really change. And obviously, you could sit there and grind a boss fight for sure, or you could just go continue on with the game and come back and do it later. I am one to try and stick it out for a boss fight, especially if it's not like overtaxingly difficult or whatever. But the ones that I draw the line at are the ones that like kill you in one hit. There's this one enemy that's kind of just standing in water. I forget what his name is. It has a funny name. But there's like a giant enemy just kind of milling around in the water, and I've gone to attack him like twice or 3 times now, and every single time, like, maybe I get a few hits off or whatever, but I get like one-shotted by it. And I've, the most recent time I played, I was passing, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm leveled up enough to do this. Nope. No, you were not. So yeah, I mean, Expedition 33, it's going well. I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm pretty sure I'm close to the end of Act 2 at this point, so I'm excited to see what is going to happen next. I'm just excited in general for that. I've been really enjoying the experience. Last but not least, I gotta talk a little bit about the first Berserker Khazan, and we've been zerking around. We are on the final pillar in the game. There's 4 pillars. It's kind of set up like Demon Souls, if you don't remember me saying that before. And you essentially go to each of these pillars, and each of them have multiple areas for you to travel to. But the game is very linear. It's a very linear experience. So once you get done with one area, you're most likely going to move on to the next one in a line. There's no real variety in where you need to go. Like obviously there's side missions that pop up, which you can obviously do those and get some extra XP or get some items. But for the most part, it is just like a straight path to the next area, which isn't like a bad thing per se, but it could make some like let's say you get stuck on a boss. It's not like Elden Ring where it's like, oh, I'm stuck on this boss down here. I guess I'll go over here and see what's over there. It's really not that. You can still grind enemies and get extra lacrima, but honestly, like the game is designed around not having to do that, because when you go against a boss fight, they give you lacrima depending on how far you got through the fight. So you might get smashed around 10 times by a boss, but you might have enough lacrima at the end of that 10 times to level up, which is really nice. That's something that you don't really see in a Souls-like game. The other thing about it is that the boss design stays impeccable. Don't get me wrong, the boss design amazing. I just fought the Hizmir dragon fight, and I thought that was a very excellently done boss fight. Like the camera was a bit goofy here and there, but for the most part, it was a very well done fight there. But the thing that I was really complaining about a week ago when I was playing the game, I decided to do some side content because I just beat a boss, and I was like, well, I don't really have enough time to like explore a new area, so let's just do a side mission or two. I went through the side mission, and I knew that the game was repeating bosses. Like, don't get me wrong, like I knew that. But what they decided to do in this one side mission kind of ruined the whole like experience of side missions for me, where they threw a regular enemy with a squad of just respawning zombie type characters. And I was just very disappointed with that, because not only had we fought that same enemy several times throughout that level, giving them a meaty health bar and making them battle you in a pool of plague was not on my bingo card, and I was very disappointed with that. In a game that has such good boss battles, it's so unfortunate that they could not even lift a finger to make a good side boss, a unique side boss for the game, at least from what I've played. A lot of the side bosses are just phases from the regular bosses extended to an entire health bar. And there's some phases on these bosses that I really don't feel like fighting again unless I really have to. There's this one guy who has like a crossbow flamethrower thing, and the side boss is the entirety of that second part of the boss fight where he's using the flamethrower, and it was such an annoying boss fight for the second half, and I was like, I really don't want to do this again. And I was fighting him, and I was just losing my patience quickly, or more quick than usual. Because it was just like, I've already beaten this. I've already done this. Why do I have to do this again? Why do I have to fight the same guy again? Like, it doesn't matter if you changed his name or turned him into a ghost. It's still the same moveset. It's still the same enemy. And you might be saying, well, Yemmy, that should make it easier. It really doesn't, honestly. Like, some of these bosses have phases that are really supposed to only last for, like, half a health bar or a quarter of a health bar, because they are pretty challenging. They do not hold back. And when you're fighting an entire health bar of that enemy, it is still a challenge. Even if you know the moves to a T, it's still very much a challenge. So that is my main point of criticism for the first Berserker Khazan right now, is the fact that the side mission bosses and the side mission content is just dull and repetitive. Not saying that like the areas you go through are dull, just fighting the same bosses again over and over is dull, and also fighting regular enemies with beefed up health bars are the reason why Elden Ring got a 4 out of 5 from me. And Khazan is looking to be going that same direction, which is unfortunate. I mean, it might be lifted up by these normal boss fights because the normal boss fights are amazing, don't get me wrong, but the side content has really been lacking here, and I'm glad that it is just side content. It's not mandatory. Simply because I just if some of these some of these bosses that are just phase 1, 2, 3 of a regular boss fight were main bosses again, I would probably quit the game by now because I hate that stuff. I hate that stuff so much. It just feels lazy to me personally when they're just like copy and pasting. Obviously, there's more to it, but they're just copy and pasting like a move set or a phase to it just feels lazy, and that's why Elden Ring was the lower score for me because those side dungeon boss fights, which could have been some unique, fun boss fights. Like, I don't mind a couple of reskinned enemies here or there, or even like a couple, early game regular enemies with a health bar. I don't mind that. But, like, when every single side boss inside of Elden Ring is just the, here's the 15th, fucking Erd Tree avatar, and here's the 15th, fucking, stone statue cat thing. Like, it just gets annoying and boring, which is the same way that I feel about the side bosses that I fought for Khazan. And at the beginning I was kind of positive about it because like they did redo a boss fight from early on, but I felt like they changed it up a bit because they had him like as a ghost form and he was like teleporting around so you couldn't see exactly what he was doing at all times, and I thought that was a fun mix up. But then the farther I got into the game and I started to do more of these side bosses and side missions, I just saw just repeat with nothing new other than, oh, this guy's named something different, or oh, it's like a phantom form of this enemy. And they try to make it like, oh, you're gonna be fighting, the daughter of this person, but it's just the jellyfish girl again. It's just the necromancer again. It's just the dragon again. There's nothing really that different about it. How about you drag these nuts across this game and not reuse boss fights over and over again? That's a bit annoying. But like I said, there's still a lot of positive to be had here because the main boss fights and the main area level designs are impeccable. They're great. So I'm at this like crossroads where it's like, well, I mean, I think the bosses are really well designed, and I think that the main boss fights are some of the best in the Souls-like game ever. And yet, when you reuse them for the side missions, it just, even though that fight was amazing the first time you did it, it just loses a lot of the wind in its sail. The wind is just kind of gone from its sails because it just feels lazy. But like I said, we're almost done with Khazan. I haven't done a lot of the side missions, but most of them that I have done have been repeated bosses and stuff like that. So I'm not like super crazy about that side of things, but I am very crazy. I'm wild about the normal, like the regular boss stuff. So I will let you all know once I'm done with the game how I feel at the end of the day. But I feel like at this point, these thoughts are kind of going to be set in stone. Let's go ahead and move on to what's in the news. All right, last week I was saying how we probably wouldn't see a GTA trailer until summer, maybe around Summer Games Fest. I was wrong. I know it's rare, but I was wrong. There was a new Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. I want to say GTA trailer, but Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer that released last week. It was pretty early in the week, too. I was kind of surprised. And this quickly became one of the most watched videos on YouTube's platform, amassing over 2 billion views in only a week, which is pretty freaking crazy. Right now, it sits at 99... Oh, okay, 99 million. I thought it said billion. 99,553,000. And it's got 5.6 million likes on it. Now, if you know, GTA is kind of known for its quality in terms of character writing, level design, etc., etc. And it seems like we are getting that as well with this game. A lot of the trailer was seemingly like cutscenes or in-game cutscenes where you kind of relinquish control of the character, and it gives and the character kind of walks around and talks to someone or drives in a cutscene or whatever. Which, I mean, I look, I don't mind that they didn't show like actual gunplay or gameplay like that. Like, I know there's a lot of people who are interested in that too. Don't get me wrong, but I think one of the core things about a Grand Theft Auto game, which has been muddled throughout the years muddied throughout the years because of how popular Grand Theft Auto Online is. But I mean, the core experience of a Grand Theft Auto game has and probably always will be the story mode to it. So even though they're going to probably relaunch a GTA Online for this game, and it's probably going to be supported for several years or decades afterwards, just like GTA 5, which started out on the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. I'm sure that the story mode for this game will stand a test of time, much like that game as well. And we will see what exactly happens here. It seems like the basics for it are your girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure, probably girlfriend, she was put in jail, and you go to get her out, and she has to do some community service, but also you want to make some money. So obviously, I'm sure lots of things are going to happen in the game, as they do. Yeah, I mean, look, all this was captured on a PS5 as well, which is kind of crazy. So obviously, Rockstar has some sort of agreement with PlayStation at this point, which is kind of crazy there. One of the biggest releases of all time, and it's getting a lot of love from the a lot of love from PlayStation. So I think they're going to be investing their money in the right place here. But yeah, graphically it looks great. Sound design seems pretty good. And then we just gotta wait and see some gameplay. Maybe they'll show off like a early mission in the game, a side mission in the game, or something like that, where you drive and shoot and whatever. We'll see. But as of right now, looks like they did an impeccable job with the graphics in the game. I know a lot of these are probably like cutscenes pre-rendered out of whatever. But I also think that a lot of these are also like in-game as well. I think they came out in an article and said that it was about 50-50 in-game cinematics and pre-rendered cinematics. So that's actually pretty good, because there's not really a difference here between the two that I could see. Now, I did have a little bit of gameplay here. Like, there's a shot of him, like the guy like riding a motorcycle, and there's a chopper behind him, and there's also another scene where you're kind of like panning through the street of Vice City. Yes, they're going back to Vice City. And there was also like 2 sex scenes shown off in the trailer as well. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, compared to the other Grand Theft Auto games, I'm sure it's going to be just an evolution of the series once again. I'm hoping it doesn't stay stagnant with like from GTA 5 to 6, because obviously GTA 5 is one of the best-selling games of all time still at this point. So I mean that the safe route would be just doing GTA 5 too. But Grand Theft Auto really has never been stagnant. Like, from Grand Theft Auto 3 to Vice City to San Andreas, then to 4 and 5, it's always been molding itself into more of it's just been molding itself into different things. So yeah, excited about that. If you want to check out the trailer, Rockstar's YouTube channel. All right, so I talked about the state of play for Borderlands 4 last week. The pre-orders were not available. They're still not available as I'm recording this right now. But Randy Pitchford did say that the pricing for the game might be a bit shocking to gamers. In an interview during PAX East, he said, "We're going to have the price set soon. It might be the new price that Nintendo and Microsoft have led with, or it might be that we stay back. It's going to be the people at the publishing house that decide that. If it's cheaper, maybe we'll sell you that mini map that you guys want that we'll develop later." He's making a joke here. He's making a joke about a microtransaction in the game, a mini map for $10. I think it's the wrong place, wrong time for that. I mean, this is the panel. He was at a panel at PAX, so obviously he's working the crowd there. But the idea that they might make Borderlands 4 an $80 game is kind of like sickening to me. Like 70, I was kind of like, yeah, I mean 70 is kind of like the new norm for these big AAA games, right? But if they jump to 80 for this one, I think you're going to make a lot of people angry because Borderlands 3 definitely was not. I mean, look, if you wanted to say, is Borderlands 3 a $70 game? Sure, make that argument. It's got a lot of content, blah blah blah. Borderlands 4, is it worth $10 more because they made the world 10 times bigger? They added 10% more guns. I don't know. I think the problem is that there's a bit of a distrust with 2K at this point and Gearbox with the franchise. Even though Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was a decent game, don't get me wrong. I think that Borderlands 4 left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I think that in order to get more units off the shelf for this game, they should definitely keep it at the $70 price tag. I would be very happy to see a $60 price tag for this as well. Yeah, I mean, there's really no way to know what they're going to do until they do it. And if it is on the publisher side of things, 2K's side of things, to decide the price for it, I mean, hold on to your butts, folks. I think they're going to put it at $80 if it comes, if it happens. So I'm expecting $80 at this point. If it's 70, I'll be like kind of happy, but also like not like super happy about it. But at least 70 is like the new norm that was only like a 2-year-long thing, right? Like we've barely had any $70 games, honestly. Like think about it. Like how many $60 games were on the PS5? And then like in the past like 2 years, there's been like 5 or like I can't even, like from PlayStation themselves, I guess I should say. There's been like 5 or 6 like PlayStation Studio titles that have been like $70 since then. Maybe not even, honestly, not even, because Astrobot was like 60, right? And Helldivers was 40. Concord was 40. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So look, if they're going to follow Nintendo and Microsoft's lead, they might be following the wrong people. Maybe they should follow Sony for a little bit longer while they are not doing $80 priced games. We want people to buy it so we have the resources to make more. We want everyone who buys and plays a Gearbox game to feel certain that they got the better end of the bargain. That's coming from Randy Pitchford in a separate interview. So, one, he's talking like they're a company that doesn't have any money. They obviously have the resources to make another game if they wanted to. I don't think there's really any issue with like the paycheck at this point. 2K is a big enough publisher. Gearbox is a big enough development studio. Borderlands is a good enough IP. I don't think they need to milk this IP because I think no matter what, a lot of people are going to show up for this. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed. How many people were complaining about Assassin's Creed before it came out, before actually getting their hands on it? And it's sold like 3 million copies at this point, or even more. Honestly, I haven't checked in a while, but it's like it's really high up there. And there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I don't believe that. Who would buy this?" It's like, well, I mean, just 2 million people. I don't know, like how many people are in America right now? So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to see a higher price tag for Borderlands 4, but I'm kind of expecting at this point, especially because he was so vague about it, and he was specifically pointing to 2 other big-time publishers. So we'll see what 2K decides to do here. It's officially been confirmed. Gears of War Reloaded is a remaster of the original game, and it's coming out in August. And this is a very special occasion, and it's why it's here in the news section. The big news is that the game is going to be launching both on PC and PlayStation 5 on the same day as Xbox. Now, will it be coming to Xbox Game Pass? I'm pretty sure it'll be coming to Xbox Game Pass, but the PS5 release is very, very exciting. The game is going to come out on August 26th for $40, and you can, of course, wishlist on all different platforms. So I think this is a great place to start a lot of people with this franchise because it is the first game in the series. It's the most Gears of War game, besides for maybe 2, Gears of War 2. And this remaster does look very good. They definitely touched up all of the graphics. They made the game a bit more colorful, like with the lighting and the shading of the buildings and stuff like that. Because this, obviously Gears of War came out in a time where a lot of games were kind of the brown, grayish color palette on the 360 era, PS3 era type systems. So they did seem to brighten it up a bit, give it a bit more polish to it. And I think that from the screenshots and minimal gameplay that we saw, I mean, it looks fantastic. I was an OG player of this game. I played it on the channel not too long ago. Well, I guess it was a pretty long time ago at this point. My timetable is a bit screwy. There was a point where we were going to play through all the Gears of War games. We're still working through that. I still have Gears 5 and Tactics to play on the channel, but I've kind of hit a stopgap, I guess, with the series at this point. But anyway, Gears of War is still a great series. Really, it wasn't even that long ago that we got the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War 1. Which I felt like it was a bit of a remaster of the game, but this seems to be an entire graphic overhaul of the game, kind of like Oblivion, the Oblivion remaster, where it's a fresh coat of paint, some work done under the hood, some new lighting effects in there. Obviously, they touched up some of the finer details there. So they also said that the Gears of War will support VRR, HDR, spatial audio, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos, with 0 loading screens for the campaign. So it seems like they've also streamlined that as well, much like a God of War game, sharing the same acronym, GOW. Gears of War Reloaded will bring the franchise for the first time to PlayStation and day one to PC. So don't expect... I'm not expecting this to get a physical edition. It's a $40 game. I feel like Microsoft isn't gonna worry about that. I would like to see a physical edition, but that does lead me to my my next talking point, which is Doom: The Dark Ages is once again just a blank disk, essentially. There's 85 megabytes of data on there. The rest of it prompts you for a download from the internet. And this is a thing that Microsoft has done with almost every single one of their PlayStation releases, including Indiana Jones. And it's probably going to continue with Gears of War if they decide to do a physical version of the game. Would I like to buy a physical version of Gears of War for the PS5? I think that would look really cool on my collection. Sure. But I'm not a huge fan of the codes on a disc type system. And with the Switch 2, obviously there's the digital code cards or whatever, which also make me a bit nervous because I think it's a very sound argument to make that, let's say 20 years from now, the PS7 is out, the Xbox 920 is here, and they decide, you know what, I think it's time to shut down the servers for the PS5. It's time to shut down the servers for the Series X and S. And all these games that are discs with 85 megabytes of data on it prompting you to download something, they're not going to work anymore unless they keep the servers up and running in the back end. So it's just one of those things where it's like video game preservation. We've come such a long way with like re-releases of games, limited run games, super rare games, those companies like that trying to keep the physical world alive and not having downloads on discs and stuff like that. Like, sure, there's still updates to do and stuff like that, but like having the game playable on a disc is something that has kind of been going away. And Xbox has been once again leading the helm with this, with their discs that only have 85 megabytes of data or 10 gigabytes of data. Like, it's just kind of sad. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Gears of War. Hopefully, if it does get a physical edition, the whole game will be on the disc. If it's not, I will honestly consider not buying the game physically. I'll still buy it digitally, most likely. But yeah, the game has been updated for 4K resolution with smoother frame rates, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second in multiplayer, and it will include the post-launch DLC as well from the developers. So there you go. Palworld, we have an update on the lawsuit with Nintendo. So they are going to be putting out an update that will completely remove throwing your Pokeball to, or I'm sorry, I even said Pokeball. They are making an update available soon that will not allow you to throw your little Pal sphere to summon a one of your pals next to you. They will just spawn next to you when you choose them. So they've removed the idea of throwing this sphere type ball to call out your pal. And I think that this is a thing because Pokemon Legends Arceus also has the idea of throwing the Pokeball out and having them do things in the world. And I believe Pokemon A and ZA is also going to have that as well. So that was a bit of a no-brainer, in my opinion, that they were going to have to replace that system. But the thing that kind of surprised me was the fact that you will not be able to use your PAL as a glider anymore. With the new patch, they're going to be removing PALs as gliders. You will pull a generic glider out instead of using like a winged PAL, which I didn't feel like Pokemon had that corner of the gaming market copyrighted. It feels like maybe something that's a bit superfluous in my opinion. Like, has there been a Pokemon game where your pal is Pokemon is like a glider for you? I think they did that in Arceus, and I believe they did that in Scarlet and Violet as well. But is that like a super unique thing where they need to, they need to update this game and make it not in there because it's too much like Pokemon? I don't know. That's going a little bit too far. But honestly, like, the idea of throwing a sphere and capturing a PAL was the main reason for this lawsuit, and I would not be surprised if they need to change even more to the game after this new patch is releasing eventually down the road. Just trouble. Like, I honestly feel like they knew what they were getting into when they started development in this game. They wanted to make a game that was like Pokemon, but it was a survival crafting game where you capture these pals in the world and you use them to fight. And you put an AR-15 in there. That's great. But a lot of the monsters in this game, are very similar to Pokemon. You could say the same thing about Temtem. But the thing that Temtem did right was the fact that they made it so that the Temtems, or the Tems, they were caught with cards instead of spheres. And even though Temtem is very much like the original Pokemon games, it has a lot of similarities, Nintendo didn't even touch them because they didn't have any legal ground to stand on, because they were using cards to capture the monsters instead of spheres. And I think Palworld knew that they were going to get into some sort of trouble with a sphere-type object catching Pokemon type monsters, because that is the main thing in the lawsuit. There's other things mixed in there as well, but that's the main thing. So there you go. All right, the results of the Video Game Hall of Fame induction are in, and 4 games made the cut this year, and they are GoldenEye 007, Defender, Quake, and Tamagotchi. The Strong's World Video Game Hall of Fame recognizes individual electronic games of all type, arcade, console, computer, handheld, and mobile, that have enjoyed popularity over the sustained period and have exerted influence on the video game industry or popular culture and society in general. Obviously, I think all 4 of these games fit that criteria. GoldenEye being one of the first games to popularize first-person shooters and PvP multiplayer. Defender. What else is? Defender is Defender. It's a side-scrolling shmup. It's one. Is it like one of the first shmups ever made? Like, I feel like I'm trying to think like shmuppy shmup. It's a side-scrolling shmup. But yeah, for the time, obviously Defender definitely deserves it. There was that Defender remake for like the PS2. That was like a 3D game. I feel like Greedy Waffles and I played it back in the day. I might look that up. Maybe get a copy of that if it's cheap. Quake. Like, what more can you say about Quake? Like, it's an arena shooter, one of those early boomer shooters. And then Tamagotchi took the world by storm. I wouldn't really call Tamagotchi the handheld Tamagotchi as like a video game per se, but I guess it is a digital software, so who am I to judge? I just find it, completely insane that Frogger did not get in again, but that's just me. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final part of the show, which is what's coming soon. All right, Elden Ring, as you know, is coming to Switch 2, and the port is coming with 2 new classes, which will be available as DLC for other consoles like PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. The 2 new characters that you can start out with are Knight of Ides and the Heavy Knight. So the new expansion is called Tarnished Pack. It'll include an additional armor set as well, along with 2 new customization options for Torrent, as well as some new weapons and combat techniques. The DLC will not come on the same day as the Switch 2 release. The release date for the expansion pack has just been slated to 2025. Now, it's possible that they'll just drop it on the same day anyway, but I think that there's probably some sort of exclusivity deal for the time being for Elden Ring on the Switch 2. So if you want to play with the new classes, get a Switch 2, I guess. Gex Trilogy finally has a release date. This is coming from Limited Run Games. They also detailed the various editions of the game as well. So this was one that I was pretty excited for when they first showed it off. This is coming with 3 games, of course. Gex, Gex Enter the Gecko, and Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. So there's the standard edition of the game, which is going to be about $40. Rare to note here, there's an Xbox version and a PC version of the game, both with physical prints, which is actually quite unique for these games. Usually it's just a Switch and PS5 version. There's the classic edition of the game, which comes with a steelbook, 12 inches by 16 inches double-sided poster, a soundtrack selection CD, and a retro-style PS1-inspired box. And that'll be for $75. And then there's the Tale Time edition for $200, which includes the following: Classic Edition contents, excluding the soundtrack selection CD, which doesn't make any sense to me. 36-inch inflatable Gex doll, a 7-inch Gex statue, Gex trading cards, a remote control pin, a full soundtrack CD, and a collector's box with artwork by Yoshitaka Amano. So, yeah, I mean, this $200 edition of the game is cool. Like, I would love the inflatable Gex, or I would love the 7-inch figurine, and the artwork on the cover is really immaculate, but I'm not willing to spend $200 for this. Like this ties into the whole conversation about limited run games and their pricing that I was talking about a few weeks ago with the Doom 1 and 2 $666 like edition. Like, it's funny that $666, sure, but does it have $666 of content? I was kind of iffy about that. And as for this edition of the game, with the Tale Time edition, once again, I see a probably cheap to produce inflatable Gex, a statue that's probably going to be pretty good, but the rest of the stuff is like a poster, a steelbook, a pin, some trading cards. Is it really worth $200? I guess that's up for you to decide. But I already pre-ordered my copy of the Gex Trilogy. Hate me later. I think that this is... I just want to support this, bringing back these really old games that are sometimes lost in time, that have no way to play them now without emulation. So, Gex Trilogy, there you go. You can pre-order now. The trilogy will be out on June 16th digitally. The games themselves, the physical version of the games, are not set to ship until late 2025. Yeah, but you can pre-order now through July 6th. They gave you a nice long time to do that. Mafia: The Old Country got a surprise trailer this past week, and I gotta say, it's looking really, really good. So the main thing about this trailer is, one, the impeccable graphics. I think that they did a great job with the graphics in the game. 2, the incredible sound design that they showcased just sounds amazing. 3, the game is going to also be a more linear experience. They decide to do away with the large open world like Mafia 3 and 2 and 1 had. Every one of them had. And they're going to go with more of a linear experience with a more tight-knit story, which I'm also not mad about. I think that actually is a really good idea. Pre-orders are available right now. If you want to check out the trailer, it's on PlayStation's YouTube channel. And I think this is looking really, really good, folks. I think that a lot of people will be happy with this. It's a great graphical showcase, among other things. It seems like it's going to also have a really good story as well. So I'm definitely going to be picking this up day one. And it does launch on August 8th on all platforms. So there you go. Killing Floor 3 has a new release date, and it is July 24th across all systems. This is coming after a delay from the beta of the game. People were really not happy with that beta. I think a lot of people said like the gameplay was fine, but there was a lot of stuff wrong, like that was just not working with like the class setup and how they designed all the different like. I'm not sure exactly what they call it, like the upgrade system for your characters. But this new trailer they put out does look good. Like, look, I'm hyped, sure. I just feel like maybe they should do another beta period in their beta test. And I don't know if they are doing that or not. I didn't look for that. But if they're not going to do another beta, it's kind of I mean, you kind of hope that they know what they're doing, I guess, because that original beta for Killing Floor 3, a lot of people were not happy about it. So yeah, so the game is going to launch in July now. So the creative director Brian Wynia said, since delaying the launch of Killing Floor 3, we've dedicated an additional development time to responding to the community's feedback, ensuring the next chapter in the much-loved cult action horror franchise lives up to the shared vision. The support from our fans has been incredible, and the new July 24th release date in sight, we're thrilled to bring that vision to the players, not just at launch, but through continued support of new features and content that is a hallmark of our studio. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still excited about the game. I think that it can still be a great experience, even though it had a rough beta period. And I am excited to check it out, to try it out. I'll probably buy it on PC because that's where I played most of the other ones, except for I played a lot of Killing Floor 2 on PlayStation. But yeah, I mean, look, I have high hopes for this. I also have high expectations for this because the last Killing Floor 1 and 2 are classics. What can I say? But yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes out on July 24th. To celebrate the launch of Death Stranding 2 on the beach, Sony is putting out a special edition Death Stranding 2 controller, as they do with a lot of things nowadays. So on the 22nd of May, exclusively through PlayStation Direct, you'll be able to pre-order the Death Stranding 2 controller. What's on this controller? So on the touchpad, there's some orange with some text on it that I can't really read. There's also some text on the sides, on the grips of the controller. It is just a black controller, all things considered, though. It's a very black controller with just some orange accents on it. So it's a little bit basic. It has Death Stranding 2 written on the back, which is fun. This is going to be available for $84.99, and the controller will launch on the same day as the game on June 26th. So if you want to check that out, head over to PlayStation Direct and check out the pre-order, which will begin on May 22nd. So that's about a week and a half. Bam Margera, has officially been confirmed to be coming back to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. People were worried that he was not going to be in the game because, obviously he's gone through some tough times. And even though those tough times may not be completely behind him, he does seem to be in high spirits and honestly looking and sounding a lot better than he did about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So good news there. Yeah, he is going to be in the game. They fully motion tracked his outfit and they put him into the game, which is great because I think that this is kind of like a win that he needs. Like after being kicked off of Jackass Forever, and just kind of going through a really, really rough patch of his life again. Like there's been so many of them. I think this is like a win that he needs. I think that this is a great thing for them to do at this point. I was a bit confused when Tony Hawk originally was like, "Yeah, let's put him into the game," blah 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 blah. But I was a bit confused because like the last thing I heard from him was like, I think he was like he was just going off the rails. But it does seem like he's got his act together. He's clean. He's sober, which is great for him. And that he'll be in the game when it launches on July 11th. July 11th. So there you go. Alien Rogue Incursion. This is the VR game that came out last year to the PSVR 2. They are officially launching a regular version of the game, so you can play the game with a controller. This version was in development alongside the VR version of the game, but it just took them a little bit longer to get it going, I suppose. So if you don't have a PSVR, you can now play the game without VR. This version of the game is called Part 1 Evolved Edition, which is kind of weird name there. This will be available for $30 with the standard edition and $40 with the digital deluxe edition, and this game will launch on September 30th. I believe that this version of the game does it come with the VR version as well? It might be a double buy, like you buy the original version and you get the PSVR version at the same time, which would be nice. But I don't see anything written here that says that they both come together. But yeah, I guess part 2 is on the way, seeing as this is part 1, which is kind of cool. So there you go. Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, is getting a physical version. Was just announced. The physical version is coming out from I Am 8-Bit for $40. The game will ship on the 29th of July, so it'll be here on the, it'll be there on the same day as the digital games. I have nothing else to say other than cool that they're doing a physical edition. I might pick this up simply because this is coming from I Am 8-Bit, and it's a physical version of a game, and it doesn't seem to be being sold anywhere else. So, this is a little Yemmy tip for collectors out there. This might be one that you want to add to your collection because it might go up in value as it sits on your shelf. But this is not financial advice, just some collector's advice. Speaking of collecting and collections, the full list of games coming to the Bubsy Perfect Collection has been revealed, and they are Bubsy and Fractured Furry Tales on the Atari Jaguar, Bubsy and Claws Encounters of the Furred Kind, which released on Sega, Genesis, Super Nintendo, and Super Famicom, Bubsy 2, which was available on Game Boy, Sega Genesis, and Super Nintendo, and Bubsy 3D from the PlayStation 1. There is no release date for the collection just yet, but they did officially confirm what games are going to be in this collection, and I think that it's a pretty... I mean, look, if you're a Bubsy fan or not, doesn't matter. Once again, as the same thing with Gex and the Gex trilogy, I don't care if it's limited run games or your grandma doing this, okay? Making these games playable on modern consoles is going to be a win no matter which way you slice it. There will be a digital version of this coming out as well, so if you don't feel like ordering from limited run, you don't have to. But the fact that these games are getting second lives since their release is good, no matter how poor the game's receptions were. To note, though, the Bubsy Paws on Fire is not included in the collection. This is only a classic collection of the games. So, there you go. And finally for today, Star Wars Grand Collection. This was announced and actually Shadow dropped the same day as May the 4th. And this Grand Collection is $140 for 9 games. That's right. It's a bit rough, in my opinion. The complete collection that they put out before was like $60. This is a pretty big price hike for these. The Switch version does include every single game that they have released in the Star Wars Classic lineup, but the PlayStation and Xbox versions are missing 2 of the games, which is kind of weird. But the games included on this are Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Outcast, 2, Jedi Okay. Star Wars. Oh my God. Why am I good? Here we go. So the games on the collection are Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, Star Wars Republic Commando, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 The Sith Lords, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. Those are all going to be available on this in this collection. There is not a physical version that has been announced for this, and I don't believe that there will probably ever be for this because it's a lot of games. If they do it, it's probably going to be a code in the box. So there you go. I am starting to get sleepy because it is pretty late today. I wanted to make sure to record this before Mother's Day, but that was probably a bad idea because I am very tired. So hopefully it did not affect the podcast too much. But that being said, let's go ahead and play Guess That Song. If you know the song's name and the game that it came from, let me know in the comments below and I'll give you a heart. Or let me know in the Discord, and I'll give you a super reaction, and you will receive the grandest prize of all, the admiration from your peers. Let's go ahead and listen to today's song right now. Wasn't that a great song, folks? I know it was. Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Really do appreciate that. If you want to check me out, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, etc. If you want to join the Discord, link down in the description below. We have a lot of fun there. If you want to follow me on Twitch, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We're streaming. I'm trying to get through Khazan before June. We're doing another summer contest, I guess you could call it, summer games showcase. So make sure you keep your eyeballs open in the Discord for that. I'll be putting out information about that very soon. Also, I do a podcast called Film Freaks with a Z at the end. We talk about movies. The latest episode is about the movie RRR from 2022. And the next episode, which comes out next week, it's a bi-weekly podcast. The next episode is about Nope, written by and directed by Jordan Peele. So that'll be coming out next week. Everything else, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret. Appreciate you all for listening. I will talk at you next week. So long.
The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Ferret 64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.